You can look at Cyberpunk as the way it is today, or how it will be in a year or so. In this video I hope to be covering both, based on my first impressions with the game. I admit, I haven't been caught up in the tremendous levels of hype that have surrounded this title. It's been on my radar, but I've had more than enough to keep me busy until its release, so in my mind this was just the next big open world game for me to get truly lost in, and to eventually climb to the top of in some meaningful way that I could appreciate, preferably over the Christmas period. But my first few days in the game have been plagued by lots and lots of little problems, and I'm yet to escape them. I actually got more excited for the game when I heard it was going to be buggy, since I like games that attempt to be ambitious. If bugs are the game's biggest problem, then it probably means that the core gameplay's pretty good. So I figured I would just overlook the bugs and enjoy the game that would eventually be left behind once everything else had been patched up. But so far it has been difficult to do that. I did not expect quite so many bugs, occurring so frequently, and in so many different parts of this game's experience. This isn't going to be something that they can fix overnight. The game's delays mean that it's received almost a year of extra polish already, yet this hasn't stopped them from dropping a new patch just days after the game launched. I've played it since and I'm still seeing the same small bugs everywhere, so while there may be certain things I talk about that have been fixed, it's fair to say that Cyberpunk is still in a really buggy state. For the most part, these aren't game-breaking bugs, but merely lots and lots of small things that continually distract from the world that it's trying to simulate. I've spent most of my time on the game benchmarking it. I've only really played it for a few hours, and yet I've already lost track of the number of weird things that have happened. Disappearing NPCs, questionable collision physics, exploding bins, ventriloquists everywhere.
What's the point?
You don't have to go looking for these kind of problems. They'll find you. I got to see this game before its official launch. I ended up wasting all that time trying to benchmark it, all of which was immediately rendered obsolete when a new graphics driver rolled out the same day. So I kind of feel like I wasted that first day I had with this game. Well, almost. What it let me see was the state that Cyberpunk was in before Nvidia's game-ready drivers, and before that 58GB patch that rolled out the moment the game went live. But you know what? Aside from better frame rates, I haven't seen any differences between these versions. The same bugs, big and small, continue to occur, and it makes me think that 58GB patch wasn't a list of fixes, but rather just them copy-pasting the very latest versions of everything over in the hope that they had somehow managed to fix enough to lessen the impact it had on day one players. You know, fingers crossed, hoping they got lucky and that players somehow wouldn't notice the problems everywhere. But they did. In its defense, I haven't experienced any crashes. If I Alt F4 out of the game, then it thinks it's crashed, but I'm happy to report the game itself feels stable to me. The one game-breaking bug I've found so far was when a door I was meant to walk through was sealed shut. There was no way of me getting through it, but NPCs would happily walk straight through it as though it wasn't even there. Reloading saves didn't fix this. It took me reloading the entire game, and then the problem went away again. The bulk of the bugs I've experienced have merely served to bring me out of the immersive world this game is trying to simulate. People do just randomly appear and disappear around me. I rarely walk down a street without this happening. And it gets even worse once the combat starts. Fire a gun, spin 360 degrees, and suddenly everybody's vanished. Cars in the distance sink into the ground and then bounce out again. It's like GTA 4 all over again. It's just constant small reminders that all of this world is merely an act, and not some dynamically simulated city that cares about my actions. The world around me is too fragile, inconsistent, and too easily broken for me to believe. And that just makes me feel cheated. It's not just one part of the game that needs polishing, it's every bit of it. There are graphical glitches, there are weird floaty animations, the physics system glitches out. At points my gun randomly goes invisible, which was hilarious when I was meant to be holding somebody at gunpoint. There are odd freezes when talking to people.
Thanks, Jack. Much appreciated.
Yeah, like that. So yeah, there are just lots of things that simply hint that the game needed a lot more time before it was ready to be released. But I think the problems I have with this game extend beyond the stuff that's obviously eventually going to be fixed. I think this game has deeper problems that will require bigger changes to remedy. The biggest disappointment for me is the gameplay this open world generates. I don't even know if this is a product of the bugs, it might just be subpar gameplay. Take GTA in comparison. That game is famous for its excellent police chases. The star system was simple yet effective. The police would cheat a bit by homing in on where you were, but they didn't know specifically where you were until they spotted you, fair and square. It made escapes challenging, tense, but ultimately understandable and rewarding. And the gunplay was pretty cool too. But Cyberpunk doesn't have this just yet. Shoot somebody and get a criminal record, and suddenly drones appear out of nowhere, and police literally spawn right behind you. I have died unfairly from this more times than I care to remember, and it feels cheap. and teaches the player that they're not meant to cause chaos or else they'll be unfairly punished for it. Add to that how bullet spongy the enemies are, and suddenly its RPG mechanics are exposed, and you realise that this isn't a breathing world full of actual people. It's an illusion, where behind the scenes numbers are all that matters. And I don't think anything short of a gameplay overhaul is going to change this. It's left me asking myself, what do I want from this game? Before release I thought it might be the game that renders the Deus Ex series obsolete, but now that it's here, it's not quite what I expected. It feels like the world is filled with edgy teenagers. My dialogue choices comprise of dismissive one-liners that my character delivers in a cringy way. I accept that Cyberpunk's style isn't for me, and that's fine. I'll let the people that it's intended for enjoy that bit of the game. And I'll just try to find my enjoyment in the gameplay. But so far I haven't found any way in which Cyberpunk excels. If I want a sandbox city, GTA does it better. If I want a simulated world, I've got Kingdom Come Deliverance. If I want to shoot lots of punks, Rage 2's got great gunplay. And if I want a depiction of the future that's convincing and authentic, then I've got the Deus Ex series. The only way in which Cyberpunk amazes me so far is in the world's design. It feels huge and it looks beautiful. I just wish there was more going on inside it. It's no secret that the game doesn't run too well. The game's recommended specs point to GPU bottlenecks, but I urge people to check their processors. Anything less than a fast 6-core ran poorly in crowded areas for me. To the point where people might be running this game on minimum graphics settings in the hope of getting better performance, when actually they should just be turning it all up to medium or higher, since it won't make a difference to the frame rate anyway. I hope my testing will at least highlight where the problem's coming from, even if it's ultimately something that people can't do a lot about without buying a new system. So Cyberpunk might not be my dream game. Its gameplay may or may not improve as I play through it further. But one thing I can say for sure about it is that the game needed more time before it was released. There's no arguing with that. It had already been delayed by almost a year, but so what? It needed longer still. Its long development time is all the more reason to get it right when it finally does come out. This isn't a case of there being a few bugs. You don't need to be a seasoned playtester to spot problems with this build, and to say this product needs more time. My girlfriend is not a hardcore gamer, yet was still able to trigger all sorts of fancy bugs in just a few minutes of playing this game, all without trying or even knowing what was going on. Project Red could literally have watched her play for an hour and had pages of bugs that needed to be fixed, and the game would have been a lot better for it. These bugs are easy pickings. It baffles me that it was deemed acceptable to launch this game in this sort of state. I'm not angry, just disappointed. I can overlook these bugs. I can say to myself, they'll all be fixed in a few months and I'll accept I'll have to put up with them if I want to play the game now. But the game's reputation has already been damaged, in the eyes of players and in the eyes of viewers. I've even started to look back at their previous projects like The Witcher 3 and have questioned how much of their success with that had been down to luck. This game's been the most hyped release in recent memory. This could very well have benefited Cyberpunk. Had it not been buggy, even if it was a subpar game, people would still have given it the benefit of the doubt. It might have taken days or weeks of playing before the game's actual quality had been realised. But when it's so buggy, it doesn't even matter if the underlying game is awesome. All that hype comes to a screeching halt when the experience is continuously marred by sloppy, silly bugs and glitches. Of course, it's also thanks to the hype and the company's past reputation that I'll push on through the bugs in search of the awesome bits, as I'm sure many others will too. I hope there is a good game in here somewhere, and I fully believe that Project Red will patch this game until it's a wonderfully polished experience. They'll continue to support this game for years, providing us with much more content, more fixes, and more reasons to keep playing. And one day, its release day bugs will be but a distant memory, a recurring meme. In a few years' time, I am confident that Cyberpunk 2077 will be a very different experience from how it is now. I can almost guarantee this will be the case, which makes it even sadder that it wasn't that on release day. So much effort lost for want of a little more.